Are you someone who wishes they could read more but just can't seem to find the time or motivation? I know I used to be. As a kid, I was an avid reader, devouring books left and right, but as I got older and got a smartphone, I found myself spending more and more time on social media and less time with books. But then I decided to make a change. I set a goal to read 100 books in a year, and last year in 2022, I finally did it. And in this video, I'm going to share with you the 5 tips that helped me to do it. So if you're ready to rediscover the joys of reading and start tackling your read list, keep watching. As someone who used to spend hours scrolling through social media before bed, I know how hard it can be to break the habit of using screens before sleeping bed. But I was determined to make a reading part of my daily routine. So now when I was trying to discover the ways to prevent it, I remembered reading in Charles Duhigh's book, The Power of Habit, this is the Turkish version, that one way to change a habit is to swap it with a new routine. So that's exactly what I did. I first started with creating a charging station for my phone far away from my bed. This way, I wouldn't be tempted to pick it up and start scrolling. Then, I placed a Kindle next to my bed so that it was the first thing when I got into bed. At first, it was hard to resist the urge to grab my phone, but the more I made reading a part of my bedtime routine, the more it became a habit. Now, instead of mindlessly scrolling through social media, I spend my time before sleep diving into a good book, satisfying my need to consume content while also achieving my goal to reading more. It's actually amazing how something as simple as swapping one habit for another can make a huge difference in my life. Another great way to incorporate more reading into your daily routine by swapping your old routine is to listen to audiobooks while you're driving or commuting. Many people find that these are the moments in days when they have some extra time but are unable to read a physical book, because it might be because you get nauseous when you read in public transportation, or when you're driving it's just not safe to read a physical book, So listening to audiobooks allows you to make use of time and still enjoy a good story. Plus, with a wide variety of books available in audio format, you can find something that interests you, whether it's a new bestseller or a classic novel. You can also multitask while you're listening to audiobooks, whether it's your during morning commute, or while you're washing dishes, or maybe while you're cleaning your room. It's a great way to make the most of your time and achieve your goal of reading more. But since listening to audiobooks can be quite passive, there are actually a couple of things you need to be careful about. We can talk about it in another video if you guys are interested in it. So just let me know in the comments down below. Another tip for incorporating more reading into your daily routine is to try out different genres of books. Experimenting with different types of literature can help you discover new interests and find stories that you might not have otherwise considered. For example, if you have never read a mystery novel, try picking one up. Or if you haven't read any poetry for a while, give it a chance. Variety is the spice of life, and same goes for books. But reading a book can become quite expensive if you read a lot like me. I don't know if it happened to you before, but sometimes when I randomly grab a book, and when I feel like it didn't answer any of the questions I have, or solve any problems I have, or maybe even suggested some solutions for the concerns I have, I feel like I wasted my time and money. Because especially I have hundreds of books I want to read in my list, I find myself thinking like, I could have used this time and money for another book. I think someone in Japan said this, but choosing something means giving up something. It doesn't necessarily mean that the book you read was a horrible book, but more so it means that it wasn't a right fit for you. Maybe your current mindset or your current concern is not really aligns with that book. So in the future, you might enjoy that book, but it was just not today. But no matter what the situation is, we want to avoid this happening as much as possible, and for that, I use Shortform. Shortform is a service where you can discover hundreds of book guides. The great thing about Shortform is that before reading any book, you can use Shortform to get key ideas from the book to decide whether you want to invest your time and money into reading that book. And also you can discover new books you have maybe heard of and you've always wanted to read, so you can read the book guide first on Shortform and decide whether you want to read the full version. In that way, we can minimize the chance chance of us reading books that aren't really suitable for us. Also, there are multiple genres you can discover. These days I'm really into self-improvement, entrepreneurship, finance and money, and also psychology. And the great thing about Shortform is that they drop/publish new book guides and articles every single week so that you will always have something to read. And also, subscribers get to vote on what books to cover. Recently, I have been reading the How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie, which you can read free on Shortform. It's quite an interesting book, so I'll probably read the full version of it and make a video about it, so stay tuned. To get a 5-day unlimited access and an additional 20% off discount on annual membership, join Shortform through the link shortform.com/Judy or use the link down in the description below. And thank you Shortform for sponsoring this video. Reading multiple books at once can also help with boredom. When you're reading only one book, it's easy to become bored with the story or the characters or even the writing style. But when you're reading multiple books at once, you can switch between them as your interest in one fades and pick up the other one. This way, you can always find something that holds your attention and you will be less likely to get bored. For example, it's similar how YouTube keeps you longer on the platform by providing a variety of videos. Even if you get bored and click off a video, it will recommend another one to keep you engaged and wanting to explore more. Additionally, by reading multiple books at once, you can explore different genres, writing styles, and characters, which can help you expand your literary horizon and find new books to love. For example, while focusing on personal growth and development by reading self-help books, you can also switch to reading novels. Reading fiction can provide a nice break from non-fiction and can allow you to explore different perspectives, characters, and also storylines. It can also help to exercise your imagination and improve your empathy. I feel like imagination is really important to be a creative person that can affect our multiple areas in our lives. Reading novels can be a great way to unwind and relax after reading self-help books, and can also help to balance out your reading and make it more enjoyable. It's important to remember that you don't need to finish every single book you start reading. If you find that a book is not holding your interest or is not providing the information or entertainment that you were looking for, it's perfectly okay to put it down and move on to something else. This is a great way to avoid wasting your time on a book that is just not worth it. You might think that since you spent money on a book, you should finish it, but in reality, losing time to finish it is actually a bigger loss because you can make your money back, but you can't make your time back. It's a better way to use your time to read something that you will find value in rather than forcing yourself to finish a book that you're not enjoying and that can also make you get bored of the habit of reading. You might also like to come back to it in the future and find it more engaging. It's important to remember that not every book is going to be right fit for you, and that's okay. Don't feel guilty about moving on from a book that you're not enjoying. Your time is valuable, so use it to read books that you will find engaging and worthwhile. That's another reason using Shortform, since it can give you an idea of what book is like before you decide to invest your time and money into reading it. So use the link down in the description below. Another important thing to keep in mind when trying to build a reading habit is reading whatever you feel like. It's important to enjoy the process of reading. Otherwise, it will become a chore, something that you don't look forward, and you will eventually stop doing. Reading should be something that brings you pleasure, whether it's through learning something new, exploring different perspectives, or getting lost in a great story. So if you're not feeling a self-help book, put it down and pick up a novel. If you're not in the mood for a novel, try reading a poetry book or maybe even a magazine. It's also important to keep in mind that everyone's preferences are different, and what one person finds interesting, another person might not. So don't be afraid to explore different genres and styles of reading and find what you enjoy the most. By following this advice, you will be able to find a book that you're genuinely interested in, which will keep you engaged and will make the reading process more enjoyable and fun. And that's the key of building a lasting habit when it becomes something you love doing and look forward to. I hope these tips helped you guys, and I hope you will spend a year where you read a ton of books and find so many valuable information and apply them to your life. So see you next time. Bye.